Alright guys, I'm working on my wife's '07 Liberty. She's got a small pinhole in the radiator, the upper portion of the radiator. I'll open up the hood and show you here in a minute. I found a radiator on Amazon for $100. Got to make sure though you have the fill cap on it, or a spot for the fill cap. My first radiator that I got was a $40 radiator, which would fit but didn't have the fill valve on it. So I actually went and bought this one here. It's made by CSF. It's about $100. So anyways, let's open up the hood and show you what's going on. Alright, so this is where the pinhole is. I tried to put some epoxy there and some other stuff, but it just didn't want to seal up with the hot fluids and the oily coolant inside. So what we're going to be doing here today is we're going to have to remove this cross member, just 2 bolts on this side, 2 on the other side. Okay, once you get that removed, there's a bolt that holds the radiator on one side and one on the other side. And then we're going to remove this fan shroud, pull it out of the way so we can get to actually the radiator. My wife actually just drove in, so I'm going to let it cool down a little bit while I show you the radiator that I just purchased. Alright, so you can see here this new radiator has the fill opening, and this is the spot where the screw holds it, and one more over here, and then this is mounting for your transmission cooler, which you can probably see right in there. It's hard to say. There it is. Okay. Got a few coolers that mount to it. Okay, and then I also have this cooler here that mounts to it, and that is looks like HVAC. Right, so to gain access to the front of your radiator, you're gonna have to slip this guy off, and this guy off. This one, and this one, to be able to pull the front end off. Okay, that'll allow you to get into the bolts that you need to get into. Okay. So we're gonna be removing these bolts. You have 3 on this side, 1, 2, 3, and 3 on this side. Those are actually 10mm bolts. You're gonna be removing this main strut that goes across. Alright, so now we're gonna take this fan shroud off. In order to do that, you're gonna take this bolt, that bottom one, and there's 2 on this side. So once we get that off, the fan will come out, and then we can start working on draining the radiator and removing it. So part of removing your fan, you're going to have to remove your electrical. There's a little red tab on this electrical connector, and I don't know if you can see it here. This red tab, there's a little plastic lip right there on the back side of that thing that you got to push down, and this red piece will slide to the left. Okay, so as I was taking this off, I noticed that there's no screws on the bottom. Once you get the top ones off, it's actually just slid in a little groove down there. You can just pull up on the radiator out and then lift it out. Alright, so in order to get to this mounting piece right here and this one, you got to get in through this front piece here, okay? Get a 6-inch extension. And you're going to get down into the bolt right there. There's that one, and then this one, the same thing. You're just going to have to push it to the side or pop this off and see if you can get your wrench in there. I'm going to try to do it without popping it off though. So, but anyways, there's the bolt right in there. So in order to get to that bolt down there, you're going to have to remove these 2 right back there. 1, 2. Looks like 10mm as well. And then this thing, the whole thing can slide over so you can get your bracket in there. Now, in order to get in there, you're gonna need one of these guys, little swivel guys. Okay, so you can get the angle without having to remove your bumper. So you can see how I got those 2 removed. I slid it over to the left, so now you can get down into that bolt. Right, so to fully remove this bracket, we're gonna have to remove that bolt, and then there's 2 right there, and that whole assembly will slide out so we can get to all the radiators and lift them straight up. Alright, so now that I got that fully removed, we can pull this guy off the radiator. Now the radiator's sitting by itself, so I'm going to go ahead and get a bucket underneath it and start draining it. Now there's usually a drain hole on one of the sides. This one happens to be on the driver's side. So you can just turn that over and just let it start draining into a bucket until it's empty. And then once it's empty, we're going to pull off the top hose, this hose, and that bottom hose, and it will just slide right out. Alright, so unless you want to jack up the vehicle, the easiest thing to do is put a hose on that, right? Bring the hose out to a 5-gallon bucket and hold it in the bucket while it drains, okay? So now all we're going to do is unscrew that valve right there, and we'll let it drain. Alright, so obviously I spilt a little bit, but we'll wash that down. So now that thing's draining still, at the bottom there you can see it, I'm going to go ahead and take this top clamp off and let me access to that side. We're going to wait to take that one off till that drain is fully dry and no radiator fluids coming out. So in order to remove this clamp, you're going to need to get some pliers or vice grips or something on this. I'm going to go and use some pliers. And you pinch this tab to this tab, pinch them together, and then this bracket can slide down and you can work this hose off. So this hose should pretty much just come right off. On older vehicles, you may have some issues where it's sticking to the metal, but being that it's plastic to rubber, it should just come right off. In fact, it's moving, but it's a little hard to do in one hand. So let me pull it. Alright guys, so I got the old one out. I'm going to slide the new one in. It was a little difficult getting the old one out. You actually had to lift up this side, bring it past this support above these hoses, okay? Once you got it out there, then you had to go below the hoses and slide this guy over to this rubber hose, and then it walked on out. So I'll show you how to put the new one in. It's going to go in the same way it came out, just opposite. We're going to tilt it in like this, slide it under the hose, get this side in, get that side in, and then slide it into place. So now that the radiator's back in, I'm going to go ahead and get all of these other coolers and hoses installed back on, and then I'll show you how to burp it once it's all installed. You want to get all the air out of the system, otherwise your engine will overheat, because these pumps don't like to push air, they like to push water. Alright guys, so I like to use full strength antifreeze because you get the same amount of liquid, but it's all antifreeze. It's not 50-50 water. I can just use my hose or distilled water rather than paying for 50-50 antifreeze. So we're going to go and top this off, and I'll show you how to burp this system. We'll fill it up till this is full. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and squeeze these hoses, and it's going to help push liquid through and push the air through, both top and bottom. And then we'll crank it just a little bit and do that again. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pull this hose off. I'm going to fill this up with antifreeze just so it gets into the top of the pump. And then we're going to connect it back here, and then there'll be less air to burn. Alright guys, just letting it warm up now. Make sure it doesn't overheat. If it starts to overheat, you know you have an air bubble in the system that you got to work out, and that's what I mean by burping it. When I meant burping it, you got to, with the engine off, you got to squeeze this hose here and help the water to go into the engine. After the engine's been running for a while, this hose should be starting to get hot. If it's not getting hot, it means there's no water running through the system. So I'm going to shut the system off and check it out.
Thanks again guys for joining me on this radiator change out on my wife's 07 Jeep Liberty. Check out my other videos and please like and subscribe. See you on the next one guys.